us again at the coffee break. I'm Leigh, and this is James again.
Hello.
And today we're going to discuss the new Star Trek Picard series, and probably Star Trek in general. I mean, as you can see, I'm wearing my Star Trek t-shirt. James isn't, he's wearing his Star Wars one. His Princess Leia.
Mine are all in the wash.
Yeah. So, how do you want to start this? Are you excited to see where Picard's going to go? Or?
No, not at all. No.
Reason why?
Because as soon as they announced it, I kind of knew that the only way that they would get Patrick Stewart on board was just to basically make a series of what his life is. No. Sort of retired with a dog.
Well, I'm sort of disappointed he hasn't got that big white beard. But yeah, I saw the poster for Picard, and it's sort of weird because he's got a dog. I mean, you would assume from the watching Next Generation it'd be like a horse or something. You know, him holding a saddle.
Or a fish.
I don't know about fish.
He had a fish, didn't he, in his ready room?
Did it?
Yes. He had a goldfish bowl.
Oh yeah, in the glass cabinet. Yeah.
God.
How did he feed those fish?
No idea. Perhaps he beamed the food into the tank.
Yeah.
Maybe they weren't real fish. Maybe they were holographic.
Yeah,
fish.
holographic fish. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, Star Trek since the new movies is gone off in a total different direction. I mean, I liked the 2005 movie. No,
what?
No, 2009. Sorry, I was thinking of Enterprise. I'm hot and sweaty, so yeah, the 2009 movie. I mean, that was a fun sort of like space adventure movie, but it wasn't really Star Trek. And then you had the subsequent films after that, and then of course you had Discovery, which is so far removed from anything Star Trek related, in my opinion. I mean,
I disagree with that.
Okay, well, you can disagree with that, but I mean, I watched it. I watched the first episode of it. Well, I watched the first 5 or 6.
You hated it so much.
No,
you had to carry on watching it.
I subscribed to the free. You get a free month of Netflix, so I subscribed to that. So I thought I might as well watch it.
May as well.
And you know, I'll decide whether to keep my Netflix account if I liked it or not. So yeah, I watched it, and from the onset, it was just, I don't know, it was just, I mean, the main character, Michael Burnham, was probably the worst character in Star Trek. I mean, the way they set her up, the whole sort of, you know, she is the sole cause.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Of the Klingon War, and
season 2 is even worse.
I mean, the way they hold her up to such a pedestal is ridiculous.
Yeah, season 2, her character just gets even worse.
You know, well, I never got to season 2.
Season 2 is promising. There's some really good, strong elements in it, but they are essentially the elements that stem from the original series. You know, like Pike, Spock, the Enterprise. So essentially, all the best parts.
Well, that's the only reason people are ever going to watch it, for those nostalgia moments rather than.
And so, like, obviously, they've announced that they're going to do a spin-off series with Section 31. But I personally would rather have a spin-off series with Pike on the Enterprise.
I thought they cancelled it.
I hope so. Because I would not watch.
But anyway, let's go back to Picard. So, predictions. What do you think the show's going to be like, what's going to happen, what the storyline is. I mean, it's set, it follows on from Nemesis and the 2009 film where Romulus is destroyed. And
yeah, I mean, as long as they stay true to his character, but he's left Starfleet. He obviously did that for a reason. I'm guessing it was linked to this destruction of Romulus.
So maybe he just wanted to farm his grapes.
Yeah, it could do. He could have just said I retired. But I'm hoping it's not some, like Luke Skywalker sort of thing, because I'm guessing a lot of people would kick off about that.
What, where he sort of dies?
No, like where he's all disillusioned and he's gone. Something bad's happened, and so he's left Starfleet, and now he's secluded, like on some vineyard somewhere with a dog. Because I'm sure that would piss a lot of people. Are we allowed to swear on this? Just beep over it.
Well, beep. There we go.
I want you to do like a Starfleet beep over me swearing.
Starfleet beep. What, like the combat?
Yeah. Every time I say fuck or bugger.
I don't know. I mean, personally, what I would like, which probably isn't going to happen, would be something like the Indiana Jones spin-off series, where it's sort of like retelling his life, like on the Stargazer. Because I'd find
I think that would be good. Wasn't he ginger?
What?
No, that was someone else, wasn't it?
No, he was ginger.
He was ginger.
What, Picard?
Yeah, when he was younger.
Was he?
Anyway, cut that bit
Doesn't
out.
matter.
Yeah, I think if they did it as a flashback sort of series, but it doesn't seem to be that so far.
No, well, from what I hear, it's sort of like going to be sort of like a ragtag sort of group of various sort of misfits. A bit like, I guess, Firefly.
Well, I mean, he's got the uniform, hasn't he? He's got the boots and the coat, so he might as well be on Serenity.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm guessing they've got like a little random ship as well.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think it's just going to be like...
I don't think it's going to be anything like Star Trek.
It's going to be pew lasers everywhere, like Discovery. Well, I mean, I don't really know what to say.
I just think that they're obviously trying to, shit out as many Star Trek series at the moment. They're doing like a cartoon, they're doing like a kiddie series.
Well, Kurtzman, I think, has got a 5-year contract with CBS to produce various shows.
And I'm guessing they approached probably Patrick Stewart and was just like, if you wanted to just do anything but would just label it Star Trek, what would you be up for? Oh, I can't do his voice. Let's do something interesting where I can just act.
Well, I hear it's going to be less sort of sci-fi-ish and more sort of like grounded.
What was that X-Men film?
X-Men.
Like Wolverine film?
Wolverine.
It was all like rustic and stripped back and...
Oh crap, I can't remember. It was a
I've not
recent
watched
one,
it.
wasn't it, with Stewart in the wheelchair?
Yeah, I guess it'd be
it's
like that. Rustic. And
is it called the Wolverine?
I don't know.
Or
Maybe the producers can
something like
fact
that,
check it.
but he's like retired and whatever. I think this episode's gone to shit, to be honest. Well, have you got anything else to sort of...
I don't know, I think
This is
I'm
what,
still
this is
happy.
what happens when you don't rehearse or script anything.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be just a coffee break, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
it's a
supposed to
coffee
just
break,
be a
just-
discussion.
Yeah.
I think I'm happy that Star Trek's still being made. and it's still out there. But Star Trek is a very difficult one because it's almost quite a unique recipe that you've got to have for a Star Trek series, but that is almost too inclusive that it doesn't bring in a wider audience. And I think where Star Trek has always struggled is getting that budget it deserves, but with budget obviously you then need to get wider audience, ticket sales,
well, I think like
streaming,
the way it used to be organised, where it was episodic rather than how it is now, which is serialised, that brings more people in than if you had, because you could just watch any episode at any time, rather than you'd have to start from the beginning. You'd have to a bit like Game of Thrones, like if you don't watch the episodes in a sequence, it's pointless really. But with Star Trek, it's always been you could just, it has a start, each episode has a start, a middle and an end, and you can watch them in any order. I mean, there's bits and pieces. I mean, take Deep Space Nine, for example, where you had certain storylines and certain themes which sort of progressed, but each episode was sort of self-contained. And I think...
yeah, if they had that balance, I think it would work.
So I think that's what... I mean, from what I've read of the new Picard series, it's going to be serialised like Discovery rather than individual episodes.
But I think that's how TV's changed now. People consume it in a different way. They sit down and they binge watch episodes. So I think it's changed. There isn't that whole weekly event, where the family sits down to watch, the Next Generation on a Monday, Tuesday night. I can't remember when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It's different now. You sit down and you watch like 2 or 3 episodes at a time. So I do think they have to adapt with the times. But again, but then when does it stop being Star Trek? It's quite a hard one.
Yeah, I mean, Discovery to me wasn't Star Trek. I mean, just the way it was shot. I mean, everything about it. I mean, the whole sort of setup for it. Really, it just feels like. I mean, Star Trek was unique, I think, in how it was sort of shot. I mean, you watch an episode of Star Trek, and even if you didn't know it was Star Trek, it is unique television.
Yeah,
I guess.
But I would say that Star Trek, the original series, is slightly different to the Next Generation.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you were then going to make a series 20 years, 30 years later, it is then going to be different.
But I mean, even with like
series.
Lens flares and the lighting, and everything like that, and shaky cam and all this sort of, I guess, pretentious high art way of. I can't describe it. It's the modern way of shooting something. It's got to be shaky cam. There's got to be lens flares everywhere.
But interesting, there was an episode.
Quick cuts everywhere and stuff like that.
It just depends on who they get in to direct it, really. Because Jonathan Frakes did a couple of episodes, and they're the best episodes.
Yeah.
They're so well done. Do you know what I mean? You're almost watching First Contact sort of style directing. It's so good. But then there are other episodes where there's one episode where they're in the briefing room and they were, talking about the mission or whatever, and the camera was just spinning around the table, like, at such a high speed. I literally felt sick. So, do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from, but it just depends on them getting the right director, again, who understands it. So, I think Discovery's got potential. Some of the characters on there are awful, really bad. Some of the characters on there have potential, but again, it's getting the right director, the right overall series sort of showrunner, And again, like I always like it when a series has sort of like an ongoing theme to it or a story for it, even if it's just a season long, but then it's built up of like standalone episodes, like you said. So there's potential there.
But that's the thing, I mean, with this new show Discovery, it was consistency. I mean, it just felt different. I mean, each episode was sort of like...
But don't think it's only we're at the end of season 2.
Yeah.
You know, look at where the Next Generation was at the end of season 2. You know, even that wasn't like Star Trek, where it was just instantaneously, almost like 2 or 3 episodes in, it already had its identity. The Next Generation took a bit longer to get that, so I'm still willing.
But Next Generation was good.
Yes, but I think some parts of Discovery are good. It's just difference of opinion, isn't it? But I still think there's a lot to work on. They should just kill off Michael Burnham, worst character ever.
Well, they brought in Pike to sort of take over that sort of main character role a little bit.
Well, I think he was there to replace sort of the Lorca character, but he was good. But it's just lacking that strong lead in it, essentially, or an ensemble.
Well, that's the uniqueness of Star Trek, is even though the captain is like the head, there's like this whole sort of cast around them.
Well, the original series basically had the 3 main characters, and then the Next Generation sort of widened that, so you might get a Worf episode, you might get a LaForge episode, or
Data episode.
Yeah, but you cared about the characters, and the characters were in depth and good characters. And then obviously they tried to copy that into Deep Space Nine and to Voyager. And God help you if you had a Chakotay episode. Oh, bloody Bashir episode.
Kuchimoya.
Oh God, even worse, like a Harry Kim episode. Oh.
Yeah.
But like Voyager, if they just stuck to like Janeway, the Doctor, maybe 7, it was brilliant. It was really good. It was really strong. You know, you tune in for that, but then you just randomly would have an episode. Paris wasn't too bad. I could tolerate Paris maybe once or twice a season.
Yeah.
But like Harry Kim and Chakotay, like what was the point?
I think my favourite episode, my favourite scene in Voyager is where Tuvok is in the holodeck. He's strangling Neelix.
Okay.
Do you not remember that episode?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it was a standout moment for me.
No, but that always makes me chuckle.
But again, they completely messed up Janeway's character in the last episode. Like worst.
Well, her
series
character
ending.
was all over the place anyway.
It was
pretty inconsistent.
Maybe from like the first few seasons into the sort of the last 3 or 4 seasons. But for her to like completely in the last episode be like, screw the Prime Directive and all of that stuff, I'm just worried that they're going to do that with Picard.
Yeah.
And that is just not going to feel like Picard. And again, what we spoke about last week about, you know, characters and people's childhoods and everything, I'm a bit nervous about it, really.
I mean, it's like Discovery. I mean, the main focus point of the audience isn't Star Trek fans, I think. Like long-standing Star Trek
No, it's
fans.
to try and widen the audience and bring more money into the franchise.
But the thing is,
which is fine as long as you stay true to the characters.
Yeah, but the thing is, those older fans are the ones that probably spend more time, more money on the franchise. I mean, newer people who maybe just dip in and out, they probably don't. So they are, it's trying to find an audience when it really isn't one, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. But it's getting that balance,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's getting that balance. How can you come up with a story? I liked Star Trek Beyond because it felt very Star Trek. It was quite a classic Star Trek story, but then it had all the big high action, big set pieces to sort of then.
Well, it felt very sort of small compared to the other films, like an episode of Star Trek.
I remember trying to get my brother to go watch it after he watched Into Darkness, and he was just like, no, not again. Yeah. Anyway, we need to wrap up.
Yeah.
Because I will start beeping.
Yeah, we got a timer and it's gonna go off any second now. So Picard, I'm indifferent about it. I mean, to be honest, I don't really care.
No, I don't. I'm open-minded about Discovery. Be interested to see where they go with that. I'm not at all interested in Picard.
Yeah, I think Star Trek is dead.
And on that note,
this far, no further.
Thanks for watching.
Okay, bye. That was pretty shit.
Can you tape over it?
Tape over it?
Go again.